Brady's won 7 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 3-time NFL MVP, 2-time Offensive Player of the Year, 3-time first-team All-Pro. He's been to the Pro Bowl 15 times, but today he embarks on his biggest challenge yet, building my Mutt team. He went on the Dan Patrick Show and was asked who his top 3 players of all time were. He said he couldn't decide. He just started listing off a ton of players that he loved to play with, and some of his answers were not what you'd expect.
And you're going to start a new team. Any 3 all time.
Guys I've played with or guys that I've played against?
I'll let you pick 3 guys. It's going to start a football team.
There's more than 3. There's reasons why all of them would be there, and not for the reasons that people may see. And I don't think just 3 would be right. There would probably be 10. Rodney Harrison was great.
Our first player is Rodney Harrison. So not only is Rodney Harrison going to be our strong safety because that was his actual position, but because Ultimate Team is Ultimate Team, he's also going to be our starting left tackle, though I doubt he ever played that, at least in his professional career. But hey, it's Tom Brady's team. It's not mine.
Wes Welker was great.
That's like not a surprise that Wes Welker is one of his favorites. Him and Julian Edelman, you would think, are like top 2, and then Gronk. I'm sure Gronk's going to be on this list at some point. And to no one's surprise, Wes Welker is going to be our slot wide receiver because he's Wes Welker, and he might have been one of the best slot wide receivers in the history of the NFL, or Tom Brady made him that way. I guess we'll never know.
Randy Moss.
Oh my God, how did I forget? Of course he's choosing Randy Moss. For me personally, it's really easy to forget that Randy Moss played with Tom Brady because it's when I was so young. But without a question, Randy Moss, one of the greatest receivers of all time, if it weren't for Jerry Rice. An insane deep threat, and even going back and watching some highlights, he was just such a boss when he played on the Patriots with Tom Brady. What a duo, man. I would love to see Tom Brady play with like Jerry Rice. That would have been really interesting. Randy Moss is obviously going to be our wide receiver number 1 because he's one of the GOATs.
I mean, there's too many to name. Ty Law.
Ty Law. Ty Law is just a name there's no way I would have ever thought about if it weren't for him saying that right now. Luckily, he seems reasonably priced. These Sugar Rush cards have been really expensive, so we'll pick him up for $195. And to nobody's surprise, he's going to be our cornerback number 1 because not only was he a beast in real life, but his card in this game is actually a beast as well.
Kevin Falk.
Kevin Falk. I'm trying to remember if there's been any unbelievably talented running backs that Brady has played with throughout his time. Or is Kevin Falk probably the best of them? Now, unfortunately, there are no Kevin Falks up on the auction house, but he does have a set, so we're gonna have to build his set in order to get his card. I'm looking through the set, guys, and a lot of these cards are just straight up not up on the auction house, and who knows how much time it would take to get up, so we might just have to skip Kevin Falk for now. But I do have another running back that Brady did play with throughout his time. This guy was a beast. I'd say he was like Marshawn Lynch number 2 if I had to give him a comparison. Maybe you figured it out just by that, but we're gonna end up going with Legarrette Blount, who thankfully has a 97 overall card, so it's actually a lot better than the 90 overall Team Diamond Kevin Falk that we would have got. It's just not up on the market, and a lot of the cards aren't, so there's really nothing I could do. So our starting halfback 1 will be the man, the myth, the legend himself, Legarrette Blount.
Julian Edelman.
Julian Edelman. Surprise, surprise, Tom. I'm not surprised at that one. Another small slot receiver that is just a freaking bruiser. You gotta be kidding me. Julian Edelman does not have a card in Madden Ultimate Team. How have they not put in an Edelman card this year? I have an alternative that fits the exact same mold. I'm sure you've guessed who it is. Yeah, it's Danny Amendola. He's got a Super Bowl card, which, surprise, surprise, because he won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, so we're just going to add him instead of Edelman. I guess Edelman was probably a little better well-rounded and definitely a better player overall. I guess we'll put Wes Welker as our wide receiver 2, and then Amendola as our wide receiver number 3. Welker is going to play in the slot, though. Okay, Tom, who's next? We've got a decent amount of players already, but he's got at least a few more to add for us. Gronk. There it is. I mean, come on.
I'm naming all the offensive guys. Notice that.
You'd think he'd make a top 10 that he played with all time and not add Gronk to it? Come on. Gronk's one of those dudes that I would just love to have a beer with. I feel like he'd be so much fun to just chill with and also party with.
Or I got 69 touchdowns. You know what I mean.
84,000 coins for his 95 overall Redux card. One of my favorite Gronk stories is when he was going to get traded to the Lions, and then he just said that he retired.
Traded me to the Lions. I go, oh, I'm retired. Like, I don't know how that trade can go through. And then 2 days later, the trade never went through.
And then he ended up not retiring because they didn't trade him to the Lions. And here he is, probably going to re-sign with the Bucs and play another year. To me, I feel like those are like the most obvious ones. I really don't know who's going to be left on this list. Probably a couple defenders.
Well, you got Ty and Rodney in there. So
Ty and Rodney. I mean, everyone's different for different reasons. I think about all our great teams.
He's such a nice dude. I really don't understand how people can actually dislike Tom Brady, the person.
Some years our defense was a little bit better than
Here's the
offense.
defense.
So when I think about those years, it's like Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour. I wonder if Vince Wilfork's going to be on this list. I feel like he should be too. So we'll go ahead and pick up Richard Seymour's 95 overall Redux card for 59,000 coins. I feel like I am overpaying for so many of these. They have him as a right end in Madden, but I feel like he always played defensive tackle. I'm sure someone knows a lot more than I do about him, but right end just doesn't sit right with kind of like how they have Ndamukong Suh as a right end in this game, even though he's a defensive tackle, or Aaron Donald as an end in this game, even though he's a defensive tackle. Some of the positioning just makes zero sense.
He's unbelievable. Or Vince Wilfork.
There it is. Vince Wilfork. Literally the next name that came out of his mouth. So I kind of called that one. 250K for a 98. I feel like that's a good deal. No, maybe I'm dumb. I don't know. 250K for a 98. I will happily take that. So Vince Wilfork is our defensive tackle one. There's got to be a few more defenders that he's going to name. That seems to be the avenue is going down now.
Junior Seau.
Junior Seau. The beastly middle linebacker. No love for Teddy Bruschi, though? Wow, what a slap in the face, Tom. Oh, man, am I really about to overspend freaking 85K for a 96? Looks like it. The things I do for these videos, boys. The things I do for these videos. Of course, our middle linebacker one, then, is going to be the man, the myth, the legend, Junior Seau. I always thought of him as a Charger, not as a Patriot.
Asante Samuel.
Asante Samuel, another pretty legendary cornerback. They've had some really good players in the secondary. I bet you he's got to say Stephon Gilmore, right? So Madden doesn't have the Asante Samuel that played with Tom Brady, but they do have his son, Asante Samuel Jr., which I think is pretty cool. So no, it's not the exact same player. It's in the same family. We're going to end up adding the rising star Asante Samuel Jr. anyways. So for now, he's going to end up being our cornerback number 2, Asante Samuel Jr., who did never play with Tom Brady and is not the Asante Samuel Brady's referencing. I wish they had senior and junior in the same game. That'd be cool. Who's next?
And then, you know, other years our offense was totally dynamic like 07 when you're thinking about more Wes and Randy, Kevin Falk.
Okay, we got a couple names there. Wes, Randy, both of which we already have.
They were all great. I mean, for God's sakes, they're in the NFL. They're one of the greatest, you know, in the world. So
that's why he's so nice. He just loves everyone, and he probably felt terrible because he didn't include every name.
You know, I almost
pretty tough to choose.
Pretty tough to choose, he says. Well, that's the end of his top 10. Let's fill out the rest of this lineup with players who he's played with either on New England or in Tampa Bay. Of course, starting with the man, the myth himself, Tom Brady, golden ticket, the free safety position, because I know this player would have been on his lineup. There's no way he wouldn't have. We got to go Devin McCourty. Super Bowl card. He won a Super Bowl with him, so we're going to end up picking up 88 overall Devin McCourty. And I can't believe this player was not on his list. Again, when I think linebackers and Patriots, I can't help but think about Teddy Bruschi, who for some reason also has a right guard card, 97 overall, which is just ridiculous. So not only are we going to pick up his middle linebacker, we're also going to snag his right guard. Unfortunately, we got to drop 200,000 coins on this card, but I feel like it's going to be worth it. As far as left outside linebacker goes and basically pass rusher here, I mean, you got to go Shaq Barrett. The dude is just an absolute freak. So we're going to scoop his, what is this, Madden Machines card, 96 overall for 80,000 coins. And I couldn't find any good right outside linebackers, so I guess we're just going to end up going with Jason Pierre-Paul, JPP. We'll scoop his right outside linebacker card. And a name that I truly felt was like left off that list, and I have to scoop him up. There's really no option. He was absolutely locked down when he did play with Tom. It's Stephon Gilmore. It's Gilly Lock, baby. He's got a great nickname and everything. Our left end one, who I can't believe I'm about to spend 14,000 coins for a 78 overall gold player, is going to be Chase Winovich, because surprisingly, he doesn't have any other cards. And our defensive tackle two, who's never going to see the field, but I think deserves recognition in this, it's going to be Ndamukong Suh. Of course, he's played with on the Bucks. We already have our right guard number 1 with Teddy Bruschi. Our fullback number 1 is going to end up being this Jakob Johnson. He's like the only Patriots fullback I could find in the game, and he did play with Brady. You just got to fill out the rest of our offensive line. Now, of course, you've got to go with the team of the year, 96 overall, Ali Marpet, who I think retired this past year. And the guy that always wears the purple pink visor that kind of throws me off is this Gridiron Guardians Ryan Jensen. And then our right tackle is going to be Mr. Trent Brown himself, another team of the year card, who is an unbelievably talented tackle. As asinine as it is, this game does not have Adam Vinatieri included as a kicker. Oh, are you kidding me? I'm 12,000 coins short. Instead, we're just going to buy the 91 overall version of Nick Folk, who did play with Tom Brady. He's not Adam Vinatieri, but it is what it is, and he's going to serve as our kicker and punter because, hey, he can probably punt the ball too, and I never punt when I play Madden anyways. And just like that, we have Tom Brady's dream offense and Tom Brady's dream defense. If you want to see gameplay with this team, click up here, but if you want to see a video where Roger Goodell built my team, click down here.